of 20 equally weighted structured questions, each carrying 5 marks. All answers must be written in the spaces provided. No additional materials are provided for our ICT paper 1, and all questions are compulsory. These are the instructions which are always on every ICT paper, which people do not majorly mind about. And they tend to say that our timing of ICT, the duration here, 4 hours, 30 minutes, people tend to say it is over-exaggerated. But today I'm here to tell you that this time is actually enough to help you raise a point from our ICT paper 1. This paper is having 20 equally weighted questions to be out of 100%. So as we go into this paper, you realize that most of the questions, since they are having up to 5 marks, they shall always ask for explanations, descriptions of up to 5 marks. So from the very beginning, if I may give an example, you should not expect a question which will say, list 10 advantages of using internet. That will not be there. 10 advantages will not be there because our maximum marks per number here are 5. So the maximum we can expect, here are 5 points for such a question. So from the very beginning, you should know that our questions each carry 5 marks, and we shall always ask for 2, 3, or maximum of 5 items per number. We must use the spaces provided in the exam. The paper is just structured, so we just have to fill in the spaces which they have given to us. And we should know that all questions are compulsory. All questions are compulsory. What content is there in our theory paper? Displayed are the chapters which we are having in ICT. We are having introduction to computers, computer lab care, troubleshooting and maintenance. We have file management. We have computer hardware, computer software, internet and World Wide Web, data communication and networking, trends in computing. Then we have 5 chapters which make up the applications. Those chapters include word processing, spreadsheet programs, we have presentation software, we have database management and electronic publication. Now, how is the paper set? How is UNEB set? In these sections, we have each chapter contributing specific number of questions. So we have already said our paper is having 20 structured questions. So from the very first chapter, we have 2 questions coming from there. From the second chapter, there is a question coming from there. From file management, there are 2 questions coming from there. Computer hardware, computer software, internet and World Wide Web, in all those, we are having 3 questions coming from every chapter. Data communication and networking, 2 questions. Trends in computing, 2 questions. From the 5 packages of applications, the ones I mentioned, those 5 applications contribute to theoretical questions. So the 5 chapters in the practical work will contribute for us 2 questions right here. They'll contribute for us 2 questions here, and we shall have a total of 20 questions. So in subsidiary ICT, I can comfortably say that every chapter shall appear in the final paper. Every chapter will appear in the final paper. So you should not skip these chapters. You should read through every chapter, and you should know that from every section, these are the numbers which are going to come from there. You should already know that if you go through a UNEB paper, you're going to find 3 questions of computer hardware. If you read through that paper, you're going to find 2 questions from applications, 2 questions which have been set from our practical work, and they are presented in our theory paper. The other thing I can mention generally about our theory, our paper 1, is that the questions may not necessarily require definitions. The questions may require you to go an extra mile to have some knowledge and then know how to apply this knowledge. That takes me to this. Sorry. So the knowledge questions within definitions define what a virus is, define ICT. Such definitions are supposed to take 25% of the paper. Knowledge, just recalling what you studied, must take around 5 questions out of the 20. Understanding, you know the definitions now. Understanding must take other 5 questions. If you understand a virus, if you can define a virus, if you have the knowledge of a virus, are you able to understand what it is in detail? That's the comprehension level. Can you understand something? Across the whole paper, we shall have 5 questions for understanding. Then from there, the rest of the questions, about 10, these are 8 and 2, those are about 10. The 10 questions will be about application of the knowledge which you've studied. If you know ICT as knowledge, can you apply ICT in society? If you know that a radio is an ICT gadget, are you able to apply the knowledge and know that a radio at home, can you apply the knowledge and know that listening to some lessons on a radio is application of ICT in education? So that's the application of knowledge. We shall have more questions of application of knowledge. We shall have more questions coming in for application of knowledge. So for today, I'm going to give you some tips about how we should answer our paper 1. I'm going to give you some tips of how we should answer our paper 1. I'll mention many tips. Then after that, we shall go through the paper briefly and see how we can answer. So I'm going to give these techniques and also give the examples where applicable. So going through the question approach, number 1, if you're responding to our ICT papers, always start with the leading keywords when defining or explaining computer terms. Always start with the leading keywords. What are keywords? These are the major words which formulate a given definition. Those words are specific to such gadgets, to such definitions. Those are keywords. We want to always see these keywords come very early within your presentation. We want to always see those keywords come in very early within your presentation. For example, if I say, define a router, a router is a networking device. So the leading keyword here is a networking device. We want to see those keywords very, very close. You put them at the beginning such that the person marking knows that this person is really sure of what he or she is talking about. If I say define a router, I expect you to say it is a networking device. That's the keyword. If I say define or explain what a switch is also a networking device. That's a keyword. Define a modem. A modem is a networking device. Define a bridge is a networking device. That keyword apply to a router, a bridge, a hub, a repeater, a switch. All those are networking devices. So these keywords should always come out first. You find some students Giving some definitions, they have explained well, but they have eliminated the keyword. Just know for that you're losing the marks. For example, if I say define a router, and you say a router is one that forwards packets between computer networks, you find people replacing the leading keyword with the word one. You say define or explain what a modem is, then a person says a modem is one that converts analog to digital and digital to analog. The other part is right, but you've eliminated the keyword. So for that, if I come across it, I just mark you wrong. Bring the leading keywords very, very close. And if you master these keywords, you tend to understand or to comprehend the definitions. Avoid cramming these definitions. That's where the problem starts. Cramming. Avoid cramming these definitions. Look for these keywords to identify these gadgets and always explain them clearly. Now, for the very first tip, I've said bring those keywords very close. I've said in this case, for a router, a bridge, a hub, a modem, a repeater, a switch, all those, their keyword is networking device. It is a networking device. It is a device which is used in a network. So it is a networking device. Now, specifically for a router, it forwards data packets between computers. The other scenario where I can bring a leading keyword is there. What is a data backup? What is a data backup? A data backup is a copy of something. It's a copy of a computer file. So these keywords should come out very clearly. If I say, explain the term word wrap as used in Microsoft Word or as used in word processing software, then you should know that a word wrap is a feature. It's a feature in Microsoft Word. If I say, explain what a header is or what a footer is, all those are features. So their leading keyword is a feature. Their leading keyword is a feature for all those features which are in word processors. So these leading keywords, you should always bring them very, very near. If I ask for the definition of a computer virus, then you should know that a computer virus is a program. It's a computer program. It's a program that disorganizes the normal functioning of a computer. The challenge which we have sometimes with students is that we may have to put a definition in the exam and say, define a computer virus, and we put 2 marks. Then a student struggles to generate a lot of words in hope to score the 2 marks. Our 2 marks are not about the number of characters or the number of words which you write. It's about having meaning of exactly what we are asking for. So a virus is a computer program. It's just a program like any other computer program. And for it, it does otherwise. It just disorganizes the normal functioning of a computer. So if this part had 2 marks, then I would have the 2 marks. I don't need to write a lot of words. If I ask for a footnote and an endnote, or a table of content, it is always under references. It's a referencing tool in Microsoft Word. It's a referencing tool in Microsoft Word. So our tip number 1 for today is always identify those keywords and mention them at the very beginning. Bring them very near such that the person marking knows you know what you're talking about, and avoid as much as possible putting in definitions the word one. We ask, what is a computer virus? Then you start defining. This is one that disorganizes the normal functioning of the computer. That one has eliminated the keyword. It will make your answer wrong. Please always identify these keywords and bring them very, very close. Number 2, avoid redundancy in your answers. It is related to tip number 1. I've just mentioned in tip number 1. that most students tend to generate a lot of words targeting the marks which we have assigned to the number. But it is not about the marks we have allocated to that number. It is about bringing something which is right. So tip number 2 is guiding us that avoid redundant words within your answers. Just give words which are relevant. An example is here. Define a computer virus. A person says, a computer virus is a malicious program that attaches itself to other computer programs, replicates itself, and that disorganizes the normal functioning of the computer. Yes, for this we shall mark and give you your right tick. But now, for purposes of having your definitions simpler and able to recall or understand them easily, we can avoid redundancy in this answer. Suppose someone just says a program that disorganizes the normal functioning of a computer. We are dealing with subsidiary ICT. Everyone knows a program. A program is a set of instructions which tell a computer what to do. So a virus is a program that disorganizes the normal functioning of the computer. The answer is very, very clear. I have eliminated redundancy within my answer. Avoid redundancy. Avoid those words which are just meaningless. If I cross them out, they may not affect the meaning, because here, if I say a program that disorganizes the normal functioning of the computer, even though I've not mentioned malicious, this disorganization shows that it is malicious. It disorganizes the normal functioning of the computer. So avoid redundancy in your answers. Just know the keywords which make up a definition. The other challenge we face with students is when we tell students to always give brief answers. In our ICT, we give brief answers. But tip number 3 is telling us to avoid unexplained brief answers. There are some situations where we shall ask for one-word answer. For example, we can give you in a paper some words which you may fill within the question directly. That's okay. That one-word answer is very okay. But there are some situations where we give questions and we expect you to give a brief explanation. You should give how something is acting, but we don't see that sometimes in your answers. Let the points be explained, but not just stated in abstract form. There are some questions where you find learners, they have just put the answer there in abstract form. I have an example here. Give ways how ICT is used to improve education and instruction in your school. How is IT used to improve education in your school where you are? Give ways how IT is used to improve education in your school. By the way, this is one of the ways. Having such online discussions is one of the ways. But for our guidance here, we are saying avoid answers like for research. Give ways how ICT, this is how. Give ways how IT is used to improve education. We need how. You just say for research. We expect you to bring out a simple explanation for this point, for research. Other people just say using projectors. What are projectors being used for? Who uses the projectors? You need to give something to show that indeed, really, a projector is being used. How is it being used? So you should avoid such one-word answers and you try to give an explanation where possible. Our explanations in IT, it being structured, it might not be like that of other subjects, history and all that. For us, we may have to write a simple sentence. We don't mean you should explain and fill the gaps and go to the margins and write. The other challenge we get with students is putting arrows where the answer is supposed to be and they go to the margin down. or they say, please look for the continuation on the back of the paper. Avoid such. Those spaces are supposed to fit our structured responses. So you use the space very, very well. So what would be the right explanation for these two terms which are here? How can we use IT to improve education in our schools? How would I have presented for research? How would I have presented using projectors? I would present it maybe in this way. IT can be used by students to carry out research using internet. IT can be used by students to carry out research using internet. IT can be used by teachers to enhance the use of visual aid using PowerPoint presentation. IT can be used by teachers to enhance the use of visual aid using PowerPoint presentation. So these two answers are trying to bring out, these two answers are trying to bring out the concept of for research. So we are showing that really students are using it for research. How? By using the internet. Teachers are using projectors to enhance the visual aid in class. So we should bring our points out in that when a person really reads them, he sees something being applied. It is about application. So if you say using projectors, I may not have seen how these projectors are being applied. So here, the second point is showing us how projectors are being applied. There is something small here. This gap is not supposed to be there, and this is supposed to be capital P. I'll comment on this at a later time as we continue. So tip number one, we have said, bring the leading keywords very, very close, because those are the words we are looking for. Secondly, we have said, avoid redundancy in your answers. Thirdly, we have said, try to give explanations, try to give a simple explanation of the response which you are presenting. Number four, always relate your answers to the question. Always relate your answers to the question. Sometimes people respond and their answers are not totally connected to the question, or you may not make meaning out of the answers. An example is here. State 2 challenges of using IT at home. State 2 challenges of using IT at home. We have IT gadgets at home already. So which challenges may come when you are using them? If I may interpret the question that way. State 2 challenges of using IT at home. State challenges of using IT at home. If I may interpret it, I can say you already have the IT gadgets at home, and which challenges come when you're using them, not when you're acquiring them. You're already having them at home. We need the challenges of using them when you're at home. This person says it is expensive. Power fluctuations. These two responses may seem correct, but they are not connected to the questions. I think you would have really brought them maybe somehow out by following what I've termed as better answers or better responses here. These are not the best, but they are better ones. So I thought that for power fluctuation, for example, you can say IT equipment can easily be damaged by electric fluctuations or power shedding, as how you may term it. That is a challenge. Our gadgets may be burnt by electricity at home. So you need to bring that clearly out. For the one where we have expensive, we can say equipment may not be safe. Oh, sorry, it is not explained. This is another point. For IT gadgets being expensive, we may relate it in terms of power consumption, paying the bills for power consumption. These gadgets consume power and paying bills, maybe we can relate that point to its expensive. We try to be elaborate. We don't leave it hanging. And number 5, tip number 5, questions that require distinguishing or differentiating terms should give detailed descriptions of both terms for you to be awarded marks allocated, else no mark will be awarded. For the questions, I'll respond to them at the very end. We are saying that if you come across the questions that require distinguishing or differentiating, you should ensure that both sides are right. Otherwise, you may lose the mark. At the marking center, there may be debates whether we should mark one side or both sides if the person is not having, but to be on a safe side, not waiting for the mercy of those who are marking, questions that require differentiating or distinguishing terms, both sides must be right. Both sides must be making sense. Otherwise, you lose the marks. An example, if we say distinguish between hard copy and soft copy as used in computing, distinguish between hard copy and soft copy as used in computing, you should fully give an explanation for hard copy, and then you should give an explanation for soft copy. Questions that require differentiating, both sides must be right. Both sides must be right. This would be the wrong answer there. If you define and say hard copy is a tangible printed computer file on paper, that would be marked right. But what is making it wrong? You say while soft copy is not tangible. Now, we want in that if we cover the part for hard copy, if we totally remove this, the person should read the part for soft copy and it makes sense. It should be, the person should be able to understand what soft copy is, even though we remove hard copy. After the while, the other part should not base on the first one. If you say hard copy is a tangible printed computer file on paper, while soft copy is not tangible. If I cover the part for hard copy and read soft copy will say soft copy is not tangible. But where is it? Where is it exactly? Anything which is not tangible, should we call it soft copy? Should we call our own souls soft copies? No. Here we have to be clear on the side of soft copy. So you need to define a soft copy fully, else you may score a 0 mark. So questions that require differentiating or distinguishing, you need to have both sides right. A second example, if we say, what's the difference between cold booting and warm booting? If you say cold booting refers to starting a computer which has been previously off, while warm booting is not, such answers will be crossed. We want you to fully describe these two terms such that if a person covers the first one, the second one will make sense. It says warm booting refers to restarting a computer. That's already making sense. If I come and read cold booting refers to starting a computer which has been previously off. So all these two terms should make sense. Otherwise, you lose the marks. You lose the marks if these do not make sense. So following up, I have said on number 1, I have said, bring the leading keywords very close. Number 2, avoid redundancy. Number 3, avoid very brief answers. Try to explain the answers. I have talked about the questions that require differentiating or distinguishing. Both sides must be right. Otherwise, you lose the marks. Those are the first 5 tips which I have given. Those are the first 5 tips which I have given. We go to the next one. I'll continue with the next one. Sorry. I'll continue with the next one. Sorry. So the next tip, which I'm giving, which I'm coming 6 here, some questions are comparative in nature. They will need you to respond with comparative answers. Comparative questions are going to require you to have comparative answers. An example, if I give a question and say, state 2 advantages of soft copy over hard copy, state 2 advantages of soft copy over hard copy, that's a comparative question. So the answers we expect on such a comparative question would be comparative answers. They should show the comparison between the two. Someone responded and said, soft copies can be made into many copies. Soft copies can be made into many copies. It sounds right. Soft copy can be made into many copies. But even hard copies, we print exams and give to you. We are making them into many copies. Soft copies can be shared among many people. I can share this soft copy with everyone here. But even hard copy, we go on printing and sharing with everyone. So these answers are wrong because they do not have the comparative aspect. To put a comparative aspect within these answers, I can say soft copies can be made into many copies compared to hard copies. Or I can put the word easily. So I would say soft copies can easily be made into many copies. I've showed the comparison because both soft copy and hard copy can be made into many copies, but the easiness which comes with soft copies is easy. Actually, it is simple. Then soft copies can easily be shared among very many people. Easily. The word is easily. It has brought in the comparison aspect. Some questions which are comparative will require us to have our answers in a comparative form. 7, avoid distinguishing terms by writing their abbreviation in full, other than what they mean in computing. We have a challenge. We say define ICT, and the person just writes ICT means information communication technology. If we wanted you to write in full, we would be clear and say, write the following terms in full. But if we say you should define, we expect to see keywords in there and have the definition clearly put down. So avoid distinguishing terms or defining terms by merely writing them in full. An example, if we say, distinguish between RAM and ROM, and for you write RAM is random access memory, while ROM is read-only memory, you are losing it. You're just writing the terms in full, you are not differentiating. So if we need a distinction between the two terms, then you have to describe them. You have to really describe them. I would be asking for the correct answer, but we are running out of time. So if I say distinguish between LAN and WAN, and for you write LAN is local area network, while WAN is wide area network, you'll be wrong. You'll be wrong. We expect you to describe. These terms and respond very, very well. Tip number 8. There are some questions which we set, and you may end up giving implied answers instead of direct answers. So always give direct answers and avoid giving implied answers. Some students have given implied answers and they end up losing the marks. For example, if I say, give 2 advantages of electronic spreadsheets over manual ones. give two advantages of electronic spreadsheets over manual ones. I have a spreadsheet such as Microsoft Excel on a computer. The other person is drawing rows and columns in a book. So what is the advantage of having this Microsoft Excel and the book there? Sorry. Then you find a person having answers and saying, manual spreadsheets are not easy to update. Manual spreadsheets are not easy to update. It is very true. It is very hard to update things which have been written in the book in rows and columns, but it is not the right answer here. Here we are asking for two advantages of electronic spreadsheets. We are not asking for the disadvantages of manual spreadsheets. So here we expect you to give an answer and say electronic spreadsheet is easy to update, not saying manual spreadsheet is not easy to update. The other answer the person gave was like, manual spreadsheets require more physical space for storage. Yes, it requires more physical space for storage, but it is wrong for this. This, we need to say electronic spreadsheets require less space for storage. You should always give direct answers and avoid implied answers. We shall not mark implied answers right. These are disadvantages of manual spreadsheets. They are not advantages of electronic spreadsheets. You need to be clear and very direct on these answers which you give. Okay, I've already mentioned that. Avoid writing non-official names of software, computer hardware, and many others. Avoid writing non-official names of computer hardware, computer software, and many others. In most cases, we may ask you to define something, but you find people adding examples on those answers when we have not asked for examples, and they end up writing non-official names of software. For example, if I may use this last example here, PowerPoint. I said I would mention this, it was on my slide 3, PowerPoint. Most of us write PowerPoint like this, but the actual name of the software has no space in the middle here, and it has a capital P in the middle. So if I don't write this official name, I'm supposed to be marked wrong. So to avoid this, where I have not been asked, where they have not asked for these software or hardware names, it is good I do not mention them, I just leave them. I only mention software when they have asked for this software, and I must give the correct name according to the manufacturer or the designer of a given software. So avoid non-official names of computer software, of computer hardware. Always give names when they have asked for them and when you're sure that you are writing the correct name of the software. Otherwise, you may put a name of a given software and it makes your answer wrong. Always give official names of software. And questions. We have said there are some 2 questions which will always come from practical part, the 5 chapters of practical, and those we call them applications. Those 2 questions of application, if there are questions relating to practical concepts, you should respond to them. You should provide answers, and these answers should be brought out as how these practical scenarios would actually work in a practical situation. So questions relating to practical concepts should be provided with answers as they would appear in a practical situation. The example which I've brought out here is for functions and formulae. Those functions and formulae in practical work, they are supposed to work when they have an equal sign. So if we give you some practical scenario, and then we ask you for a formula maybe to find maximum, and we have given you a table for the practical work, and you leave out the equal signs and you write the formula as how it is on the right here, then we are supposed to mark you wrong, because we all know for a formula to work in practical, it must have an equal sign. So answers which apply in practical must be translated to theory as how they would be applying in theory. These are some of the tips which I can give really for the theory paper. And for our time, that's what I can really present to you for now. I'll be responding to the questions which members have posted in the chat quickly, so that we catch up with our timing. The first question was, what if I define a concept beginning it is? It is, as long as you follow it with a keyword, I think that one I'm okay with it. If you follow it with a keyword, I feel I'm okay with it. Even though you start with, if you say a virus, it is a program that does the other, that's very okay on our side, as long as you've brought the keyword very close. We request the presentation slides to be shared. Yes, I'll share the presentation slides. I'm okay with it. I'll be sharing them, can share them. I'll attach them in the chat, but I'll also look for other means to share them. So for that, I've responded by having the work uploaded in the chat, being uploaded. The other question was, let me look for more questions here. What if I make a differentiation, differentiate the items, giving each a line with a while on its line? As well, I could be given a mark for the correct answer. The while is there, that's very okay. One side is right, you may be denied a mark. You may be denied a mark. You should ensure that both sides are explained very well. They are clear as how I've put it. Both sides should be clear. If one side is right, it can be marked after discussions. And here we are avoiding mark after a long discussion. You may either be marked wrong or right after a thorough discussion. So we want to do something which is very good and ensure that it doesn't call for a discussion. The other question, can you please share the WhatsApp link, if any, we use for such kind of work? Thanks. I think Mr. Stephen will be sharing more links about the WhatsApp groups and many others. That's what I had prepared for you today. I see ICT class of Kakuto is having the hand raised up. I may respond to them, and then they may pose their questions, I respond to them, then we call it an evening. ICT class of Kakuto, the hand was raised. Is there some kind of question? If there is no any other question, I'll be calling the discussion to an end. Have a good evening.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, John.
Yes, good evening, sir. And good evening, students who are online.
Good evening, how are you doing?
You are most welcome. I'm John K. I've seen the discussion, but I would like to put some small emphasis on what you have been giving to these learners. There is a time when, as you are answering the paper, there's a time where you see a number asking for 2 areas, but the award of mark is 1. They need 2 sides, but they have awarded 1 mark. That one means that both sides have to be correct. And if you miss or if you answer one side and the other side is not answered, that one you don't qualify a tick. Then on your presentation, that is tip number 8, poor answering approach. Learners avoid using terminologies of other subjects into ICT. There are times when we find that learners have borrowed some words for other subjects and they bring them into ICT. So such learners or such answers don't qualify a tick as far as ICT is concerned. There are times when we have images. When images are given, this is under part of hardware, and hardware, it has 4: output, input, and the storage part. So expect questions of that nature, but you have to give it in line with the question, as your answer is supposed to be given in line with the question. So you can put more emphasis on the language used, the relation of words, and the terminologies. I thank you.
Hello.
Yes, Austin.
Yes, good evening. Good evening to everyone. I would love to ask about something concerning the short forms. What if I'm maybe talking about some maybe concepts and I use a short form, maybe ROM, RAM somewhere, but it is not in the question. Is it allowed or I should write the full form of it?
Thanks for your question, Austin. I would advise that it is better to write those terms in full. It is better to write those terms in full. However, maybe if you're stuck and you've forgotten what it means in full, it's when you can risk and write it as an abbreviation, but I would recommend to have those terms written in full. In ICT, we have those standard abbreviations like RAM, ROM, BIOS, CMOS. Yes, you can have them written in abbreviations in case you've forgotten the full word, but it may cost you. That's kind of risking. You're just trying your luck. Thank you. Piroth.
Thank you, Mr. Joram, for the good work. Actually, I want to supplement briefly. I don't know if they're getting me.
They are getting you clearly. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to first of all thank you for the good work. I caught up late with the discussion, and unfortunately, also I could not bring my students because they are sitting for their mock and they are also occupied. But I thank you for the good work. Now to supplement briefly on what Mr. Austin, a student, I think. Now, even if it is is going to raise, yeah, indeed, it's a risk to use those abbreviations because the circumstances may not allow them. But still, maybe he has to put them in. For some people, even the abbreviation still, like RAM, somebody is going to write it RAM, but then with the small a and maybe a small m. Now that one again changes and makes the whole thing now lose meaning. So even if you're going to raise, at least make them in capital letter. That's what I want to supplement. Thank you.
Thank you, Teacher Piroth, for your contribution. Christine and the colleagues, you have got your response. You asked about whether you can use these terms, and Teacher Piroth is emphasizing that in case you to use them, ensure that they are in capital letters and well stated. Thank you. We go to Jordan. Jordan, your hand is up.
Good evening to everyone. My question is about the last section, and how we should be able to answer the questions, because I find it hard, and my fellow colleagues, they find it hard answering questions of the third section, rather than section C. They find it hard to answer them. So any tips on how we should follow up on answering the question in the third section?
Thank you, Jordan. Discussion is about subsidiary ICT paper, which is having one section throughout. It is the same. It is having 20 questions, each carrying 5 marks. The section C you're talking about, I think that applies to the O-level paper, and there is a discussion on that coming in, I think, next week. That's for senior 4. This was meant for subsidiary ICTs. That's the senior 6 class. So section C, that one we shall talk about it when we are in the class of senior 4 next week. Thank you. Stefan, your hand is up. Then Piroth, you can mute.
Thanks to everyone who is online. And then my request is that if any other presentation like this, maybe you can share a link maybe that you can pair in time, because even me, I've just landed on it, but I've found a lot of things.
Sorry, Stefan, I've not heard clearly. The network was breaking. I think we are done with the questions from those. Those is still pending. I think those. Yes, please, those and your colleagues, we are hearing you.
Yes.
Pose your question. Sorry, we shall have to mute you. Okay. So members, I think we call our discussion to an end. Oh, Austin is still having a question. Austin, conclude.
Like we normally face a problem in ICT paper 1, whereby the lines are insufficient to fill in the work. So what if I write below the line, is it marked relevant?
That's where I started, Austin. That space
Yes,
is meant to be, enough for our work. That space is meant to be enough for our work. When we start writing beyond those lines, just know we are going beyond what is asked of us. We are trying to give a lot of details other than maintaining it as just a subsidiary, other than maintaining it as a structured paper. So we need to stick the spaces which have been provided, because these papers are literally marked by very many people. It's not one person. All those numbers may be assigned to independent individuals. So it becomes very hard to go on checking in the margins and behind the papers for all people who are marking. So stick to the lines, try to summarize your point in brief within your head and write it down to fit in the space which has been provided.
Yes, Mr. Joram, can I come in?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Yes, I
It is
want
okay,
to.
teacher.
Thank you. I want to give an emphasis to a student who has asked that question as far as the space provided in the paper. The moment you read the question and you feel that you have a lot of words, you have to summarize it. There are some learners or in the paper where we find that somebody even has gone beyond drawing an arrow to the bottom of the paper. Answer. Then he makes the other answer to move up onto the question because it is a mock paper. Sometimes it is a name paper. Somebody has not taken time to fill up or looking the other side of the question. It means that you've not taken time to interpret the question and get to understand what the question is all about. So it requires everybody, as you are answering the ICT or subsidiary paper, it is 2.5 hours. These are 20 questions. So you have a lot of time to read and interpret what the question is all about and summarize it based on the question paper as your answer is phrased. So learners should put that as writing and drawing lines that to see that their answers become big. In ICT, our policy, people having it in mind that we don't want to read a lot. That one, it is another subject. Ours is fully a brief and a summarized paper. So we expect answers written based on the questions. If there are scenario such questions, you have to take in time to summarize your answer than drawing a lot of wordings. I thank you.
Thank you, teacher. So members, we have come to a conclusion of our today's discussion of subsidiary ICT. That's ICT paper 1. Think we shall be bringing up tomorrow with my colleagues and I to discuss something concerning paper 2. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Wambale, for leading us this afternoon.
You're welcome.
And thank you everyone who has been on the call. It is very important that we go through these sessions and we look forward to tomorrow. Do we need to be in a computer laboratory tomorrow? What is it, Mr. Wambale?
Teacher Simon will give a comment on that.
Yes.
Teacher Simon is on the group. He's going to update us on that. Teacher Simon, are you there? I think it may not necessarily.
Yes, Joram.
Okay.
Hello.
We are getting you clearly.
Thank you, Joram, for the presentation and Mr. Dongo's question. Tomorrow, I'll be online sharing the practical bit of sub-ICT2. This evening, I'm planning to share one of the files and papers that I think the learners would go through, then we can talk about them to support my presentation as well. But we shall be there on time tomorrow.
Simon, shall they need to be in the lab? Shall the students need to be in the labs?
Ideally, I think if we make it practically in the lab, I am intending to share the paper that they can work it out and they have some few challenges as I also comment about the few things that I intended to comment about. But if we put them on the computers, it may take more time ideally.
Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Ronald, I think we shall go with the students to be in an arrangement which they are in as of now. They may not necessarily be in the computer lab. Thank you.
Okay, for those who can sit in the lab, in the lab, it would be good for us to get a feel of what their laboratory looks like. Of course, as Ministry of Education, our interest is in making sure that we build capacity of schools, and such a session to enable anyone who wants to support the schools in viewing what their lab looks like. But That does not mean that if you don't have a computer, tomorrow you don't attend a lesson. But for those who can sit in the lab, it would be good for us to see you in the lab. So with that, I know Mr. Kaziba is in between the different sessions. Senior 4 session is running. I would maybe request those who can put on their videos, you put on your videos so that the rest of us can see you. We can see you, and wish everyone a good evening, and let us prepare for tomorrow. Thank you, teachers, for making this happen. I'm sorry, for me, I'm traveling. I'm on the car, and I've just crossed Afu and heading to Karuma so that I get into Kittigum for an event tomorrow. That is the life of educationists. But I thank everyone for the work you are doing to make sure that we close the learning gap. Thank you for joining in today, and see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.